This is not the BBC.
You're listening to RTI.
Oh, hello. Uncle Leigh, where are you?
I'm here. Are we going?
Of course we are. That's what you get for me telling you to do the intro.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody who's listening. It's me, Leigh G. Banks, and Rachel Brunsden, and the delectable Petra, looking after Postcard from Poprad for this week, because himself is in a corner, incapacitated, unable to speak, which has been a bonus to us all week. Did you hear him cough then? There is coffee. That's him trying to speak.
He just wanted to prove he's really ill, you know. He's got a deadly illness called men's flu, I think in English.
Men's flu, men's flu. So, anyway, how are you, Rachel?
I'm good. I'm really good. You know what? Spring has sprung in Melbourne. It's wonderful. It was 23 whole degrees today. And the sun was out. It was amazing. I forgot what it looked like. But tomorrow it's going to be hotter, but very, very windy.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. Windy. That's how I've been since I've got back from Spain. And so I've been told off. You know, it's got down to 9 degrees here. 9 degrees. How cold's that? That's like Arctic, isn't it?
We had 8 yesterday, if that makes you feel better.
Will make me feel better because I'm over here. I'd like to be. Your winter, Petra, in Poprad and in Slovakia is far superior to our winters over here. Our winters are just grey, wet, boring and stupid. Yours are glorious and Christmassy and exciting.
Glorious, sunny, cold. We already have snow up in the mountains, so it makes it cold even down here in Poprad, but really
yeah, but that's nice. That's like an icy breath coming across from the mountains, isn't it? It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm going to be there in 3 months.
I know. You come in here first to have a bit of greyness.
Well,
I am.
You said you come in here. Does it mean England or Slovakia?
Both.
Oh, really? That's a surprise to me.
Oh, how didn't Uncle Eric tell you? I'll be there.
He never tells me anything.
He never tells anybody anything unless he's bored and phones you up with a croaky voice going, hello, have you remembered to do this? Yeah, of course I remembered to do this.
Or when we're driving somewhere and he sits at the back of the car, lets me drive, and he says, I'm bored. 2 seconds later, he says, bored.
Why does he sit in the back of the car?
Well, because I'm his lovely PA and I drive him everywhere. I love him so much.
Yeah, but why does he sit in the back of the car like the Queen? Why did he sit next to you?
Because his missus sits next to me at the front.
Oh, that's good.
So he's got 2 ladies driving him everywhere. Isn't that just nice?
Women. Yeah, I think that sounds lovely. Anyway, should we get on with this show or what?
Yes.
I think really first we've got to be quite serious about it, haven't we?
Leigh, I've got something to say. Eric is pointing out something.
Yes.
So I think I should say hello to... That would be nice if I can pronounce it right. Jean-Marc.
Jean-Marc?
Yeah.
I know Jean.
He's got a nice message there.
That's nice. Hello.
And
how are
I
you?
have another from Stevie. He's really supporting me now being live on camera, which I said yesterday that I won't do, but Eric made me do it, unfortunately.
I want to watch you live on camera.
And a message from John says, hello, here is Jean-Marc, living in Mauritius. Very warm here. Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to go there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, John.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country, so maybe one day.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country and it's warm. And I'm sitting here in the rain and in the grey and in the wind.
And also, just so we don't say hi only to one person, I would like to say it to my ex-colleague Zbigniew. Ahoy, Zbigniew. So now you can talk, Leigh.
That's very kind of you. You've got anybody you'd like to say hello to, Rachel, rather than do the news?
I want to say hello. I know I got my friend Jude's listening. She's in Sydney. And her lovely husband Troy. They're in Sydney and they're listening to us right now as we speak.
I have a friend in Punta Prima called Leo, who's actually listening as well. He's listening. Hello, Leo. And hello, you're Mrs. Caroline. Mrs. Caroline, yeah. They're all listening as well. Should we do the news now?
Yes.
Look, he's really serious. We've had loads of earthquakes and everything. And it's just been an absolute tragedy. I don't think we should spend much time on it because there's not a lot we can say, except that there's a race still going on to find some little girls who've been trapped in a school in Mexico. They might have been rescued by now, actually. I'm not sure. I've not looked at the headlines for the last few minutes. And then it's the morning after in Maria and the big wind called Maria in Puerto Rico, 155 mile an hour winds. And the big thing is everybody's wondering where the next earthquake and the next hellfire is going to hit. It's suggested that everything at the moment is focused on the edge of California. Very frightening times, isn't it? Your weather in Australia, Rachel, is a bit more volatile than ours, isn't it? And you do suffer these sort of things on occasions, don't you?
Yeah, we do. I mean, every season you'll get usually a ripper of a hurricane in up the north of Australia on the eastern side and the western side. And of course, the tippy top of Australia, where I was living in Darwin, that is known for its horrible hurricanes. Down south, you don't get those, but you do get ferocious bushfires. So Mother Nature is really telling us who's boss at the moment, I think.
Absolutely, well put. How does it affect insurance? Are your insurance costs really high if you live in an area like this? Or like where you live, where you do certainly get some major problems with weather.
Yeah, particularly in Queensland, northern New South Wales, where there's where they're prone to flooding after big tropical storms and cyclones. The flooding is the problem, and the insurers can be quite unpleasant about it. But thus far, it's not been too bad. I think people who live there are aware of what they're moving into, and they are adequately insured. And the insurance companies know that they can't do anything. They have to protect these people, but the premiums are, ridiculous. It's the same as when you live in bushfire country down south. Yeah. So, you take your chance. You live in volatile places, but the whole country is volatile all the time, and we just come to expect, really strange weather.
Well, that's it. I know when we were out in Spain, the weather, again, like you say, is volatile. In Britain, I suppose what you can say about the weather, it's good because it's bland. It doesn't change. It just rains, and it's just great every now and again. Like we were talking to a couple yesterday who just spent a fortune having the garden landscaped. And up until now, this summer, they've used it twice. That's the sort of weather we have here. But where we have floodplains, the cost of insurance is absolutely monstrous. And it's so sad. But why do people move to places they know are going to get flooded, or you're going to have your roof torn off by a hurricane?
Well, I guess in Australia you sort of don't have much choice. You have to live in one place or another, and because of where we're located in terms of the globe, the extreme weather is what it is. But where you guys are, where it is just ordinary, and all the time, and it is sort of pretty much the same. You guys have terrible crisis conditions when it gets a little bit too hot or a little bit too cold. You're not equipped to deal with it.
I know we have things if it gets too hot. Yeah, that really are. We talk like in Spain we're up to 40 degrees. If we get above 25 here, everybody's going to hospital with dehydration and dying of heart attacks and everything. Oh my God, it's so hot.
But English people, they always complain about weather, no matter what. If it's warm, it's bad. If it's cold, it's bad.
I've got to defend the English people, though, for a sec, because in Australia, where the weather's extreme, all our housing is built to suit. And
that's right.
And the houses are built a certain way in the United Kingdom, and they are not built to handle super, super hot or super, super cold. They're built to handle the norm. So, it's not really everybody's fault. They're just not used to it.
Is that not an indication of the personality of the British, though, that we have an obsession with talking about weather, and the weather is really bland? So why are we obsessed with talking about it? What does that say about the British?
But that's the best way of starting conversation, isn't it? Talk about weather.
Yeah.
It's an
If you don't know what to say, ask about weather.
It's an icebreaker, that's for sure.
So if
But
you
yes,
chatting
Mother
up
Nature,
the pub,
she's angry. Mother Nature's letting us know. She's really letting us know.
Okay,
right,
but
yes.
talking about weather in different countries, we've got people from different countries actually writing to us and joining our live cam. And
we got
we've got
safe?
Marcus, we've got Tony, we've got Jude, Norman. So many people are joining in and listening to us. So
Brilliant.
thank you very
Who's
much.
there?
hello to all those names that Petra just said.
Yeah, we've got Paul now joining, Paul D. Brown.
Oh, Paulie.
Hello, Paul.
Paulie's
Yeah,
on
quick
deck.
one. Quick message for Paul. How many? We're 10 minutes into this show, right? Paul, we're going to use your interview on the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com. Probably not next week, but the week after. Just thought I'd share it with you. Read the Consumer Watch Foundation. It's brilliant. Shall we move on to other things now?
Let's.
Yeah,
Let's
we've got
move on.
last one. We've got Tony from, if I can read it, from Norway, North Norway, and he is 25 below zero. Oh my God, that's not warm.
Oh, write
That's
to us and tell us
Paul.
what it's like to be caught in that, Tom. Just send us a quick note.
We
Just a
do
quick
get it sometimes in Slovakia, but it's so different because it's dry. We got usually sunny and cold day, but you don't feel it. You don't feel so cold, you know. Like
Well,
being in
that's-
England, it's 0 and you feel really, really cold. And I think this should be end of the weather conversation, and we should move on.
I just
Okay.
said that. I just said that, and you stopped me. Right. Now we're going
That's
to do
because
my
I
favourite-
wanted to say it. You know, it's 2 against 1, so it's me and Rachel against Leigh.
Yeah, but I've got Eric in the background. He's
He's
like
not
my,
helping you. He's taking my
He is.
side.
He's like my Ninja Turtle. He's just there.
No
ready to-
way. You just wish.
Pull the plug on all of us. You could pull the plug at any moment.
But because, you know, the next thing we wanted to talk about is really, I would say, for boys, big boys.
I would.
So
No, why? This is
just
my
because I
favourite
said
section of
so,
the show.
just listen to me.
Dead people. Dead people. We're going to talk about rate. Oh yeah.
Oh
Jake,
yeah,
look
you know,
what
you're
this-
being old, so you talk about dead people. Come on, you do it.
Yeah, gosh, no, it's the most interesting. Most things read in newspapers and magazines are obituaries, and we have our own obituary column. We're the only radio station on RTI FM who does it. I wish I'd said that, because I got that totally wrong. Anyway, listen, Jake LaMotta's died.
Yeah, that's sad.
So you don't
is.
even know who it is, do you?
Yeah.
I do. Robert De Niro played him in Raging Bull.
That's right. He's the original Raging Bull. He's gone. He was 95. He managed to live till he was 95. A bit of a naughty man in some ways. He actually he went through the whole gamut of all sorts of things that you shouldn't be doing. He did them all, and then continued, rebuilt his career as a stand-up comedian. And he was just brilliant. The film Raging Bull with Robert De Niro was just a stunning film, and he's gone. Here's one for the girls then.
He no, hang on a minute. He was so naughty. He had a 65-year-old wife.
That's disgusting, Shuppy. Oh, no.
What's naughty about it, actually?
65-year-old wives.
Bless him. Good on you. Lillian Bettencourt. This is amazing. The richest woman alive, and now she's not.
I know.
She was the heiress originally to the, she still is the heiress to the L'Oreal empire.
Is that how you say it? L'Oreal? I thought it was L'Oreal.
Well, we say L'Oreal in Australia, but we're pretty mean to the English language.
Yeah, well, that's French. That's not English. That's French, surely.
Oh, it is. And she. Do you know how much she was worth?
35 billion. Ha ha.
Yep, 50 billion in US dollars, and I think that would be about 55 trillion.
Yeah.
Don't even bother. It's a big number. I can't even write.
Honestly, it's
What?
incredible.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
that's an enormous. It's a dynasty, and it's enormous. But yeah, she's passed away, and she was, how old was she, Uncle Leigh, do you know? I think she was 85 or... Yeah.
Oh, 94. She was 94.
94. Well,
Yeah,
then,
everybody's
I
living a long
apologise.
time before they die.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time to live.
Here's another name to conjure with, and whether Petra will know him, but I think Rachel will. That's Harry Dean Stanton.
I'm bereft about
I
him
am as well.
Well, I've just finished watching his last piece of work, which was the rejig of Twin Peaks, and he was fast foot forward there, and I'm horribly sad. He was great in movies like The Green Mile, where he had this terrific part as a funny old custodian, and in the 80s when we were teens, we got introduced to him in Pretty in Pink as Molly Ringwald's dad.
Yeah,
and right. Movies like that. But of course, he did more than that. He did a lot more than that.
Sure.
Where do you remember?
Sorry, I was just going to say one of the best things he ever did was Paris, Texas. Do you remember that?
Of course, yes.
Such a slow and haunting film. It's probably but he was. I think he was in his 60s or very late 50s when he actually made his breakthrough, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did it really, really late in his four actors. I mean, Morgan Freeman is the same. He started very, very late.
Did he? Wow.
Yeah, and Harry Dean Stanton was no different. And I was really sad because I just finished watching the new series of Twin Peaks. Just finished it, and I was horrid. I was sad, and I had a cry. I must tell you.
I must say, yeah. Well, I didn't cry because I'm a manly man, but I know what you mean. I was absolutely bereft when I found there was something about him, wasn't there? He wasn't a good-looking bloke. He wasn't. He didn't have an incredible charisma like a lot of other actors who were about that time. And he got this hollow look. He looked like he was dying. For the last 30 years of his life, he's looked like he was dying.
He's very sallow-faced, wasn't he? And what a brilliant face for a character actor.
Exactly.
It's truly and wonderful, and just full of so much. There was so much depth to him too. Google the man and check out his work. It will be worth your while.
Oh, I think so too. He was 91. So it is, except now we've got another one, and then we'll finish on dead people. But William G. Stewart, I wonder if this means too much to anybody, who was the presenter of 15 to 1, which is described as the world's toughest television quiz. He's died, and he was just 82. He was a little whippersnapper, but yeah, he was actually quite famous for doing all sorts of things within television. And in the last few years, he became a presenter. Do we know him in Australia?
We sort of do. We've got a little bit of a connection to him because Adam Hills went on to host a show, Farewell to William G. Stewart.
Really? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, Adam Hills, is he with the bloke who's got the foot missing?
Yeah, that's our lovely Adam, our lovely Australian Adam. He's brilliant. He's so funny.
He is, yeah, he's really good, yeah. And so he did a show, Farewell to William G. Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh right, what was that? What sort of show was that?
Well, it was in 2013. I don't know much about it. I'm sort of reading this from our list, but I don't know exactly what it was. But it's interesting that there is a little Australian connection there. If we can find one, we found a really, really tiny thread, but I'll pull it anyway.
Okay, guys, we have so many messages coming in. I have to interrupt you.
Okay.
Can't you see them? Tough life.
No, he won't let me switch them on because it kills me broadband thing.
Yeah, I know what he's doing. Okay, so we've got one from Tony, and because Eric showed the message that he's bored, he's saying, if you are bored, then time to make a cup of tea. He never makes me a cup of tea. It's always me who have to do it. And I actually made him a cup of coffee before we started. Am I a good PA? Yes, I am. Then we've got another message from Jean-Marc again. Can you sing, young lady? Well, I would only sing once, and you would never want to hear it again.
Ask him what does he want you to sing?
I don't know.
Mark, what do you want us to sing?
What should I sing? No, I won't do it anyway, but you can write it.
Yeah, I'll get to sing it.
Rob Then we've got Roy, David Phillips, and message from Roy. Did Eric forget the makeup as he is not on camera? Yes, he was too ill to put his makeup on.
Yeah, he was, honestly. Yeah, he's put a bit of rouge on and a bit of lipstick, but that's
and he forgot to do his eyebrows as well. Oh,
I know.
disgusting.
He looks just like he does in the morning when he wakes up, and that's frightening.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So what's next? But I think we should stop talking about these dead people.
Right.
Come on,
Yeah,
move on.
this has to be the last dead person. Sir Teddy
Tony.
Taylor, one of the most outspoken and relentless critics of European integration, has died at the age of 80. So I don't know if that means anything to anybody, so I don't know who he is. Anyway, he's dead. He's dead. So let's move on to something else.
This is grim, next one. I don't know.
I know, it's a man and woman have been charged with murder after an unidentified body was found in the back garden of a house in London. It was actually, apparently, it was the body of the nanny who was found there. There's not a lot we can say because they've been charged with murder, so we would have to just skip over that. But it sounds like a really horrendous find in your garden.
Gruesome. Yeah, gruesome.
Yeah, and then we got another one. A baggage handler has been accused of sending passengers' bags
Yeah,
to the
hooray!
wrong
It's not about that person.
Yeah, that's fresh, isn't it? Yeah, that's never happened before. But it
What
should
a-
be a criminal offence.
It should be like, something to do with tampering or something, because that is, and you know what, I touch wood, and now that I've said it out loud, in 3 months it's all going to go horribly wrong. I've never lost luggage before, and I can imagine how horribly inconvenient that is, and how annoying, and it's never happened to me. So somebody to do it deliberately, that is the most mean-spirited thing you can do to people who are travelling, I reckon.
No, I think so. It happened to me once. I was on a press trip to Madrid and Barcelona, and my bag went missing between Madrid and Barcelona. It's only a 20-minute flight. How could you lose my bags? Anyway, my bags ended up in Saudi Arabia. And I only had one, the shirt I was standing up in. And unfortunately, Andrea had washed it in some incredible thing. I've no idea what it was. But as soon as I got warm, which it really is hot in Barcelona, my shirt smelt like a pizza. So I stood there for 3 days waiting for stinking like a pizza.
Just admit that you went to pizza for dinner and you didn't have a wash.
Well, that's it. Everybody walked, smell pizza. Did you fancy a bit of pizza? Well, it's me. Yeah, honestly.
I have a question.
Yes,
before you go on holiday, when you fly on holiday, do you actually put in your luggage, in your hand luggage, some spare clothes? Just in case this happens.
Yeah, but
I do in case I have an adventure on the plane.
I mean, Eric does it because he always makes himself dirty. You know, he can't even drink tea without spilling it on him. And because he's got big belly, it always ends up on his stomach. I have to say this, I'm sorry, Uncle Eric. But I always have spare T-shirt, pair of...
Yeah, that's a really good... There's a top tip. There's a top tip for the ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, always have a spare T-shirt in your luggage. I won't wait to wear T-shirts. I can't talk. Have you gathered that?
And when you go to hot country, I always have swimming costume there as well. You know, that's an important thing when you stay by the sea.
Well, that's all right. So if you get your second T-shirt dirty, you can always put your swimming costume on the plane.
But, you know, you're spending the whole day by the sea, so what do you need? Costume.
Yeah, actually, I was in Madrid. There's no sea in Madrid.
Yeah, I don't go in the water, even though I'm Australian. I don't care for it. The closest I get to water is the shower.
That's because you've got it there. That's why.
I don't want to. I don't like it. There's things out there that kill you.
You know, if you're stuck by the mountains all year round, then you just love to be by the sea for a week or 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah. Well, you've got that lake in the mountains, which is absolutely incredible.
I just ran the garden hose for a while.
I don't know what I said. Well, I know, but I'm pretending I don't know. But Dave Rhodes, he actually wrote, "Ha, glad to hear Eric hasn't changed. It means being a piglet." I think so.
You were saying that Eric spills everything down his Gansey.
Don't repeat it, because I get another smack for it.
Yeah. David, tell us some more secrets about Eric's piggishness.
Go on.
Just send us some messages. Yeah.
He wrote,
Come on,
Eric
Dan.
needs to explain the hot chocolate incident with Debbie Flint, but maybe another week when he has his voice back. And now, I
David,
really
just
wish
write
you
it
could see
down.
his face. I think that's something really, really naughty. And for the first time ever, I see him going red.
No, Eric's going red.
Yeah, that's surprising, isn't it? But
He can't respond. He must be frustrated as anything. It's great.
It must be horrible if he cannot defend himself.
Yes, I think you're right, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, Eric is speechless now, as Dave wrote.
Mr. Rhodes, write it down, send it in, tell us what the secret is.
Talking about flights and clothing we take with us, spare one, what do you think about the Ryanair now lacking staff and cancelling all the flights?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Ryanair is probably one of the most outrageous organisations in the world as far as aviation is concerned. See, when you think, we've talked about this briefly before, but flying used to be sophisticated. It used to have a charm. It used to be something that was glamorous. And you
an event.
Yeah, well, you wore your best clothes, didn't you? You dressed up to go to an airport and sip cocktails in the cocktail lounge and then get on a plane and fly across the world. And now it is really only a cattle market. And Ryanair seems to love making people feel bad. Now, Michael O'Leary, who is one of the big personalities of the business world, has just said, it's not actually that my biggest cock-up, the fact that 2,000 flights have had to be moved or cancelled, and that people have been stranded at airports and have been having to pay £25 to put on a premium rate helpline to find out what's going on. And for him to say, just blithely say, this isn't my biggest cock-up, I've got a litany of them. Hang your head in shame, Mr. O'Leary. That is a despicable thing. Now he's trying to force his pilots to work on the holidays, and he's even offering them £1,200 a day to go out there and fly his planes. Why did you allow this to happen, Mr. O'Leary? What do you think, Rachel?
I'm not a big fan of budget airlines, full stop. I don't trust them. I just think that they're just trouble, and if you travel with them, travel at your own risk. And we've got an airline here that's actually improved because it was bought by nice Mr. Branson and the Virgin people, called Tiger. And before that happened, they were about to be shut down because they were appalling. I remember going to check into one of their flights, and there was nobody at the desk. I couldn't check in. And the plane left, and I couldn't check in, and I was stranded. And I thought to myself, do you know what? That's a budget airline. Never do it again. And if I do, expect nothing but bad things.
Well, that's easy. When we flew back from, it wasn't a budget airline. I have no reason not to name it. I can't remember where it was. I remember now. It was Monarch. We flew back with Monarch. And, they're actually quite good, big, comfortable planes. And for, a short-haul flight, a 2.5-hour flight, they're quite all right. The staff are good. Everything about them is good. But what's not good is if you want a sandwich, you get a really bad, old-looking, small sandwich. And it can cost you £5. If you want a cup of
bring
coffee,
your own one, that's all.
Well, I do that.
Okay, but we've got something like a minute before we go to a break. But I have a question, Leigh, for you. What would you do if your flight is cancelled? Would you actually ask for a refund, or what would you do?
Yeah, well, we're in the process of doing one at the moment. Yeah, if you go to the Consumer Watch Foundation, there's a list of what you can actually do in cases like this. And basically, if anything goes wrong with your flights, and remember that Ryanair has cancelled all these flights and umming about what they should be paying in compensation, but you are entitled to a full refund. You can just get your money back. That's what it is. And if you're on a return flight and one ticket is cancelled, your return flight says cancelled, you claim for all the legs of your journey. You don't just claim for the one, or you could go for an alternative flight. But the airline has to find an alternative flight which is for you, that suits you, not one that suits them. And that's what they try and force on you, a flight that suits them. Tell them no. You know, the compensation that Michael O'Leary is talking about, he's talking about £355 million worth of... no, he's not. I've just read that wrong. He's a compensation of up to £355 for every passenger.
Leigh, I have to stop you. I know you like talking a lot, but now we are due to our half-an-hour break.
From the heart of Europe to the world, this is RTI.
This is an appeal that I simply wish I didn't have to make. In this day and age, how is it possible that 1,400 children will die today from dirty water? That children like Elodie have to drink dirty water from rivers and swamps, risking their lives. Right now, you can help save a child's life. Text the word water to 70080 to give WaterAid £3. WaterAid has the expertise to install pipes, pumps and taps that will bring clean water to children at risk. They just need your support. In the next minute, dirty water will kill another child like Elodie. So please, don't wait to save a child's life. Text WATER to 70080 now to give WaterAid £3. Thank you.
If your dream holiday is 2 hours from the UK, perfect for children and teenagers, young couples and the older visitor, ideal for the physically active and for those who just want to unwind, Aqua City is the destination for you. Described by the Travel Channel as the place that will soon be on everybody's lips, be ahead of the crowd and the envy of your friends, but still enjoy a home from home. Come to Aqua City Poprad, the world's leading green resort.
From the heart of Europe to the world, RTI.
Well, before the break, we were talking about Ryanair, and Dave wrote, I'm surprised Ryanair have not tried charging people for cancelling their flights. They charge for virtually everything else, which is well true. Said. I must agree.
Yeah, nicely said. Yeah, really, don't be put off, though, by a flight being cancelled. It's inconvenient. We had a flight to New York cancelled, and we rearranged it, and everything went fine the second time. But I can't remember what we got, but I think we got like £700 compensation. And, you know, compensation's a good thing. But when you think what it's there, it's compensation for the waste of a day and the waste of a holiday and all the problems that you have. And for somebody like this to just say, oh, I've made a cock up, to use his own phraseology, and so you can all get lost, you know, go for compensation.
It can definitely ruin a holiday anyway. And what about when we're talking about how much it cost or how much did they give you for cancelling the flight? What about actually finding money in toilet?
Oh, see,
I think that's happy one, isn't it?
This is great. When I read about this guy, this wad of cash being found in a blocked toilet in Geneva, I thought, whoever put that there, I want to meet them and give them a bit of a squeeze and see what comes out. I think this is
that's terrible.
It's like this one's paying, this machine's paying, give it a squeeze. But where did this money come from, Uncle Leigh?
Well, nobody really knows at the moment. It was basically all discontinued €500 notes, and it looks like somebody was literally trying to flush them away. It was £100,000 worth of used discontinued notes. That's about £88,000 in English money.
You know, we say it's dirty money, so maybe they wanted to wash it.
Well, the police say that actually, this is what the police have said. The police have said, well, actually, it isn't illegal to try and flush money down the toilet. So nobody's actually committed a crime but it's actually cost thousands and thousands of pounds to dig them out and get the system working again. Yeah, really funny, really bizarre thing to have done. And then we've got
really hilarious.
This person could come and do it in Slovakia, you know. They can come and do it in Poprad. I would love it. You know, you go for a pee and you find 500 notes there. I go 3 times in an hour.
Rich people using you know, hundreds for toilet paper. I've heard of that, but crikey, this is brilliant. You know what they should do, Uncle Leigh? They should put that wad of money in that Metropolitan Museum next to that wad of nappies and whatnot that they're digging out of the sewer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, that's enough toilet humour. We do not allow this show to descend into toilet humour when Mr. Wiltsher's not here, because it's his fault, and let's prove it. It's his fault.
So we change it to babies, yeah? Then.
Yeah, go on, then.
From toilet to babies.
Babies talk about the babies. Found 2 women giving birth at Burger King. Why would you be going to Burger King to give birth?
Well, I think maybe they went for. It's weird what women crave when they're pregnant, and sometimes they're just a guts.
You would be surprised.
It's amazing.
No man can understand this, can they?
Why? What did you crave? What did you crave, Petra?
Well, I actually had like smoky bacon with bread with jam on it. So it was a sweet and salty taste, and
nothing wrong with sweet and salty.
That's true. When I was pregnant with Beth, I used to go to McDonald's and get their hot fudge sundae and dip fries in it.
I know when I was pregnant the first time, I had just had this craving for beer. I used to have to go out every night to the pub, honestly, yeah.
Well, no, but this is extraordinary, this story. It's really hilarious because there were 2 women who gave birth, but on consecutive days.
Yes.
And I just thought, maybe if you're late, if you're overdue and you want to have your baby, go to Hungry Jack's in New Jersey, because apparently it induces labour.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
That's a bit far for me to go.
I know, but I tell you what, Burger King is actually taking the biscuit, if you forgive the phraseology, on places like McDonald's. We did a survey on fast food restaurants at the airports we went to, and Burger King is far superior now to all the other ones.
Did you know that it's called something different in Australia?
No, what's it called?
Called Hungry Jack's.
Is that what Hungry Jack's is? I never knew that.
Yes, Hungry Jack's is Burger King, and you're right, it is far superior. I mean, it's all really bad for you, and nobody should eat that fast food. But if you must make a choice, then go to Hungry Jack's. It's immensely good.
Well, it is a travelling man's tip, really, isn't it? Because, you know, excuse me, I've been a travel journalist for a long time, and the one thing a travel journalist realises is that no matter where you are, always go to a fast food restaurant, because the food is generally homogenised. It's neither good nor bad. It's just all right. It's probably not going to kill you. And the main bonus is that they've always got pretty clean toilets.
Mm-hmm. Except Times Square in New York, I've discovered the McDonald's there was in a bit of a complete state of disarray. But yeah, it was because I remembered your top tip, you see, and I thought, and we were wandering around in the blizzard in New York, and I thought, I really want to go to the toilet, and I really would like something to eat. And you know, McDonald's is always open because most of the stores were still open in that blizzard. But I walked in there and now Uncle Leigh told me I can find a clean toilet here, and I walked in there and I went, no, I can't.
How comes we ended up with talking about toilets again?
I know. Because Eric Wiltsher's sitting there. Eric Norman's sitting in the corner there. Yeah, he's just sending osmosis thoughts to
No,
me.
he's getting bored. I think we should move on. He's getting bored. And he says, a radio guy with no voice. Well, he taught me one sentence, that I have a beautiful face for the radio, which nowadays I don't think it applies, because he turned this silly camera on.
No, that's the thing, isn't it?
I'm not going to get a camera in my house. No way.
No, I'm not. No, but I'm beautiful. I can be on camera.
You're magnificent.
We don't really want to see you, Uncle Leigh.
Oh, thank you very much.
Don't worry, when you come here, I give you a hug.
You give me a what? A hug?
Yeah, is that a good compensation?
No, a hug. Or as you say, a hug.
Yeah, that's it. A hug. Yeah,
it's the pronunciation, I know. Okay,
what
so what is the next story you were supposed to talk about?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What's wrong with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
Why? He just turned up out of the blue at a gym in Leeds, of all places. I was supposed to be going to Leeds next week, but we won't talk about that. And, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 70 years old. He's got a figure very similar to mine, actually. And
you wish.
Doing very well.
When he is.
When was the last time you looked in the mirror?
I'm looking in a mirror now. I do this show naked.
I am sure it cracked. The minute you stood in front of it, it cracked.
Oh,
I'm only
that's
looking
so harsh.
Can't see the crack. Yeah. So.
So what happened with Arnold? Come on.
so we're just moving on now. Let's just move on. Yeah, this is an interesting story. This is a really interesting story. It'd be nice to know what it's like around the world on this. I know what it's like in Britain. I could just go on for days about it. But yeah, home buyers, young home buyers are now facing a debt time because of interest rates got to go up for the first time in 10 years. How's that? People across the world. You see, in Britain, we're in this awful situation where young people can't afford to buy a home. Then somehow, maybe they get help from the parents, maybe they get married, or maybe they live with somebody else, or they do a conglomerate thing with some friends. They buy a house and they've bought at interest rates that are so low, it's outrageous. And now interest rates are going to go up. The average mortgage is going to go up to over £1,000 a month. How does that affect the rest of the world? Because I'm just going to go and plug my computer in while you ladies talk.
Well, it's the same situation in Australia.
Same
our
here.
Young home buyers can't, but our interest rates are also going to creep up. We've had them at very low for a very long time, and they're about to start getting bumped up. And if you couldn't afford it now, you won't be able to afford it soon. And young people are getting into so much debt. They're getting enormous mortgages. Some of them are getting mortgages, $400,000. It's just, and there's no way they can get into the market. We do have something here in Australia called the First Home Buyers Grant, and the government will give you, X amount of dollars, and then you can use that to put a deposit down with X amount more. So we do have that, which is a nice bonus, a nice incentive. But honestly, because they can't afford it, the rental market is flooded, and people who would never buy because they simply are too poor to buy are getting pushed out of a rental market, and then you get homelessness, and it's horrible. It's a terrible situation. It's only getting worse.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? How do you go on about... See, it's a different ethos in Slovakia, isn't it, Petra, towards borrowing money? How does the mortgage situation work in Slovakia?
Well, if you are under 30 or 35, I'm not sure. I'm not there yet. So government tries to help you with low interest mortgage, but... the way it works here, if you rent a place, the rent is so high that you might as well take a mortgage, and for that amount of money, you pay your own place for your own flat or house.
Yeah, that's right.
But as you said, unless you have a good job or parents help you, it's really not easy for young people, especially if they, for example, just got married and have one baby coming. It's hard.
It is. In England, just very briefly, you see, we're in this situation where, and I know it happens in a lot of other parts of the world as well, but when you go to university, you run up a massive debt, £30,000-40,000 in some cases. And so you set out in life with a £40,000 debt, and you're on a relatively low income. So then you go looking for to get married and settle down. You end up perhaps on a 0 hours contract or something else where you don't earn very, very much money. and then you can't afford to buy a house. But like I say, if you put things together and you've managed to do it, you bought at a time when interest rates were very, very low. And the thing is, yes, the buyer should be aware of what might happen in the future. But I've been crucified by interest rates in the past. I remember when all of a sudden British interest rates flew up to 17.5%. And that only happened for a few days, but it registered on the on your mortgage repayments. And people's mortgages, it doesn't sound a phenomenal amount of money, but with the smallest rise can see their mortgages go up by at least £1,500 a year. Now, how do young people, what are wages like in Slovakia, Petra?
Gosh, I think the average wage here is about 700 euros, but you're lucky to get there. That's average, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean,
it depends on the area where you live. I mean, of course, if you are near capital city, then it's higher. But especially very east part of Slovakia, that's huge unemployment, and you're lucky to get minimum wage, which at the moment is about 400 euros. And that's
what's the average price of a house? What's the average price of a family house?
Well, talking about older house, not a brand new one, you talk about 100,000 euros.
And that you're going to have to do that on, say, a joint income of, say, €1,000 a month. Yeah, and definitely. You're going to have to raise money.
What they offer here is actually that you pay a little bit more monthly, but they guarantee you the same rate for 5 or 10 years. But of course, you have to pay a little bit more to have this guaranteed.
If you can afford to pay that extra, though, that makes sense, because if, you know, the general view of life is that you progress through the years, you get a better job and more income.
You just avoid the situation which is going to happen now when it goes up, you know.
Yeah. What's it like in Australia, Rachel? What's the average wage in Australia is to the rest of the world phenomenal, but the cost of everything is phenomenal as well, isn't it?
The average wage would be, I don't know, you'd probably be on your minimum would be sort of 35 to 40,000 if you're really, if you're a junior, a junior or someone who doesn't have a lot of experience. If you work in somewhere like Woolworths, for example, it's anything between sort of 19 and 23 an hour, depending on experience and how old you are. But and you're right, we'd get paid very well, and our minimum wages are very good, but everything's very, very expensive. I mean, a really, really nice, decent apartment is going to cost you, $400,000 in a place like, the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Never mind Brisbane, never mind Sydney, never mind Melbourne. You're looking at, upward nearly $1 million for a property in some places. It's just, and that's just an average, sort of home, but depending on where it is, but extremely high. And that's why young people can't get into the market here. They're just, the amount of money they're borrowing, and gosh, it's just frightening. It really is.
Is it any more frightening, though, than it was when, say, you were looking to buy your first home, or I was? When you think, my first home, this sounds outrageous, but cost, I think it was £7,500.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Well, it was about 5 years ago. Yeah, it was in the 70s, and I was very young for it as a homeowner. I bought my first house when I was 4, and
you know what? We have guy Tony. He wrote, "What a happy show." Eric, not Eric. It's not Eric doing it. It's me, it's Leigh and Rachel. So let's talk about something else, because talking about money always makes me depressed.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting.
I think Rachel should tell us about Australian mum.
Oh, right, yeah, this is really happy and exciting, isn't it? Yeah, really.
This is a particularly cheerful, wonderful, happy story. Poor woman has actually gone blind and bald and many other things because she got a parasite. There was a parasite in her contact lens. She randomly put her contact lens in one day, and half an hour later, the pain in her eye was unbelievable. So she she got some drops. She was a receptionist at a doctor's office. She got some drops and put them in, but it just got worse and worse and worse. And they discovered, not for a very long time afterwards, that it was a parasite. So what she's going to do when her child finishes primary school is move to the UK, because the NHS have got an operation available that'll fix her eyes, and she'll be able to see once again, which is amazing that we can't treat her here in Australia. She has to go overseas and rely on the NHS of all people.
That's incredible, yeah.
I know, it really is. It's not so happy, but it will be a happy ending for her if she gets the treatment she needs, care of the mother country.
And her sight will be will come back.
Well, that's what they're saying.
That's what they're hoping for, yeah.
Yeah, there's an operation that can fix it, which is why she's doing it. But I'm befuddled as to why she can't get treatment. It doesn't really explain why she can't get treatment. I think because it probably costs, and she may not have private health, etc. But the NHS is.
Well, she'll come over here. Yeah, she'll get it done for free over here. Well, that's what the NHS is about. People get really angry about the NHS and people coming over here to have operations for free. Well, I tell you what, if they're sick, I'm happy for the NHS to treat them and make them better again.
Yeah, what's wrong with people? Don't you want other humans to live, for goodness sake?
Crazy. Lisa, let's do one quickly here. It's something we've just touched on, but I know this is something that Eric's got a bee in his bonnet about at the moment, so we'll do this one for you, Eric. This story's for you. 1 in 3 say that going to university in Britain isn't worth it. Now, that's based on the fact that students have average fees of 10 grand a year, and the degree courses, they're failing, they get big dropout rates and that kind of thing. And there's a big move at the moment towards people avoiding going to university because of the cost, and going to places, schools that teach you about trades, how to be a tradesman, a plumber, a bricklayer, or any kind of trade, an electrician. And is that not better to spend your money on that kind of thing than going to get an ology? A plumber can earn £150,000 a year in Britain nowadays because of the great rush to build more houses. What about student fees? Do you think people should go and learn a trade rather than go to university?
Not if they've got no talent for it or want to do it.
How do you know if they've not tried?
Well, I mean, I know that I definitely have absolutely no talent for any kind of trade or I would have been an absolute abject failure as a tradie. But I mean, if you do have a trade, you have a skill for life, so which can earn you money. Having said that, my Robbie went and did his applied degree in mathematics, etc., and he's a surveyor and very successful, and that is from a university degree. So I really think you have to pick and choose what your ology is going to be. If you want an ology, pick one that you can use. Pick one that's useful, that can make you some money if you don't want to apply a trade. And I must say, I'm so glad Eric cannot speak.
Why is that?
Rachel, why don't you tell him to go and wire his studio while he can't talk?
Oh my God!
I think we are pretty lucky in Slovakia because we don't have to pay for universities unless it's private. So it doesn't cost that much. But on the other side, people say, well, I'd rather go to university, so it delays the time when I get unemployed. So so many kids wanting to go to university, even if they, I'm sorry to say that, have no brain for it.
I understand.
But many Australian students go overseas to places like Romania and even Slovakia and study because it's free and it's too expensive here.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. I suppose what it is, though, you look at the dropout rates on the course, like at Wrexham University, Bachelor of Science course in entrepreneurship, had a 50% withdrawal rate. Is that because nobody wants to be an entrepreneur, or is that because they didn't really understand it or see any value in it? They got a human resources management course at Middlesex University. 28% came out of that. Another Bachelor of Science at the University of East London, 58%. which is best, really. Like you say, if you learn a trade, then you've got a job for life. If you, human resources, are they a good thing? I ain't sure.
I mean, there is so many students, they finish uni and they don't even do that job. They still end up doing some kind of trades.
I think a lot of them, I really do think a lot of young people go to university with absolutely no idea what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're in university and then they figure out what they want to do and they change what they're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you hear about it in the States all the time with people doing majors in this and then, changing their major to that. People go from medical school to law. It just doesn't, I think they don't know what they want to do a lot of the time.
In Slovakia, when you're 14 or 15 nowadays, you have to decide what college you want to go to. It's kind of deciding what you want to do in future. I don't even know now what I want to do in future, not at the age of 15.
I don't know what I want to do tomorrow.
Exactly. So it's really hard to decide where you want to go, and kids just choosing whatever.
I think the thing is in the UK though, and we won't labour on about this too much now, but it's the building industry is facing a boom time. I'm not saying the boom time's hit now, but it's certainly facing an upturn. And the wages that you can earn, and let's face it, we only work for money. Not many of us are lucky enough to work just because they actually enjoy working. But you work for money, and the money you can make in the trades is absolutely phenomenal. I just think it's a good thing. Shall we have a really controversial one and then a funny one?
Leigh?
Yes.
No, I have something for you now.
Go on then.
You said before we started that you don't want to drink, but this is a drink story. It's about beer.
Go on then.
Well, you do it. You know.
Which one?
Well, the gassiest beers to avoid if you want to stop bloating.
Oh,
Bloaty.
I can't find the story. I'll tell you what.
It's right at the end. We haven't got much time left, so that's why I picked this one.
All I was going to say is that actually, if you think one of the best stories of the week is that Donald Trump has been found having a glass of wine. He only had 2 sips from it. But is that another revelation about Donald Trump and his veracity, as the man has claimed for decades that he's never had a drink in his life? Well, you've been caught, Donald, with a glass of wine in your hand. Or are you going to say it was a glass of molasses? So now we're talking about burping Budweiser.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, honestly, it's absolutely true. I have been drinking so much gassy lager that all I need is a kite. It's outrageous. I would leave me. It's like, I don't know, those cushions that you put on the thing. It's just like, I can't sit with me. What beer makes you Trump?
Drunk.
Drunk.
Go on, ladies. Be honest. Do you or do you not Trump?
Well, I don't drink beer.
So you are claiming that you, as the ladies of this world, do not make bottom burps.
No, no, we don't.
So it's purely a male domain then.
No, all the time I do, but I don't drink beer, so I don't know which one would make me the gassiest. I burp and Trump and carry on.
Rachel, no, we don't do it.
Yeah, we do.
Don't do it, dear.
We do.
Don't spoil it.
You would explode.
The top 10 gassiest beers for all you men out there. Budweiser's number 1, Stella Artois number 2, Corona Extra's number 3, Bud Light's number 4, John Smith's Bitter comes in at number 5, Heineken, which is probably the worst kind of beer ever invented, comes in at number 6, Pilsner Urquell, that's quite nice. Foster's is, I'm sorry Rachel, Foster's is rubbish. And
but we think so too, that's why we export it all to you.
No, that's it. Keep sending it across the world. Cobra Indian Lager, now that's very nice indeed.
All right, you two. So
And finally, Guinness Golden Ale at number 10. And I think we've got to go, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got to go. So it's time to say goodbye from me, for example, now.
Okay.
Then
Petra, it's time for you to say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Is that it? You
Yep.
have to say a bit more.
No, I can't say anymore. So I leave time for you and Rachel.
All right, Rach, what are you doing this weekend? Any plans?
Yes, I'm taking the nieces to the Royal Melbourne Show tomorrow, and that's, I don't know what I was thinking. So it's all good.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
no,
So,
it's all
Leigh,
good.
it's your turn.
Well, yes, I'm actually going to get the Bentley back. The Bentley's been broken.